Okay, guys, we are going to be doing a true crime tarot chat. And I'm really excited about it because there's a lot to still chat about with the I keep saying tarot, the Karen Reed trial. My sunlight is fading, so I'm probably going to try to do this. I'm 20 minutes late, of course. I got distracted. I was out in the yard. I have 3 adult rabbits right now outside. I have about 4 or 5 young robins, not babies, but young enough to run around the yard. I have 1 young rabbit, like a child, baby-ish. And then I have a groundhog that is pregnant. So I have quite a few creatures in my backyard right now. And if it wasn't hot outside, I'd be sitting back there so you guys could watch them. But it's hot. So maybe I'll be able to stream. Hey, Keisha, how are you? Maybe I'll be able to stream in I don't know, a little while, hopefully, where you guys can see them. Unfortunately, my little baby rabbit, he's hurting. I got a little bit close enough to see a little bit about, these are all wild animals. They're not mine. They just kind of live in my yard. His little front paws, I don't know if it's one or both. There's definitely one side that he's not putting weight on. Not really. And then the other one looks a little weird too. And he's hopping funny, but he's getting around. So I definitely can't catch him, even if I wanted to. So I'm just going to kind of see what happens. He's getting around. He's eating. So I just was keeping an eye on him. So I'm doing good. How are you? I was distracted. I was out in the yard. And I want to go back out there. I have a groundhog that I'm pretty sure is pregnant, made a nest underneath my shed. And I love that because groundhogs are freaking adorable. And it's actually eating my weeds in my yard. It's not eating anything I don't want it to. So that makes me really happy. You want to weed my yard? Go right ahead. That's fine with me. I'm tired. I haven't been sleeping very great, but Tonks is doing great. So she's doing pretty well right now. So that's a good thing. Yeah. So having other company work issue stuff, but nothing that complaining about is going to fix it. So I am just putting more effort into getting the business, my business running more and more so that I can segue away from that company, the companies, actually. So we're going to talk about the Karen Reed stuff. I want to show you guys my notes. I'm not going to show you word for word, but I started taking notes. I started rewatching the daily recaps. And I started taking notes of each day. I started doing this yesterday, and I was like, I'll get it done before I go live tomorrow. My notes only go up to, what day was this? Day 8 of trial. So definitely didn't get done because there was 30 days of trial. But I will do a full play-by-play recap at some point. Thank you. It's I like lip stuff, but I also get frustrated with color on camera because I'm talking and I'm drinking and it rubs off and then I got to reapply and it drives me crazy. So this is actually a lip stain. It doesn't last. It actually is hard to get off. Yeah. Yeah, this is abbreviated. So I'm going to do more of a bullet point thing at some point. I'm going to continue to finish taking the notes just to give a full, because if they end up going to trial again, I want to be able to be oh, see, we talked about this at some point. Where we're at, there's daily updates that have been happening, and where we're at right now, the main investigator has been suspended without pay now and is under an internal affairs investigation and an FBI investigation in regards to this case. And another person in this got suspended. Another police officer got suspended, and that has come out. And now 3 or 4 jurors have come forward about the verdict. And there's a big scandal around that. So the scandals are still going. It's like, yeah, the trial is done, but there's still all these other elements that are happening about the trial. And it has a lot to do. It's kind of important to understand who all these people are to be able to keep track of what their participation was with the whole thing, like what their role was, who they knew and all that, which is why I wanted to do the full recap, but didn't get there. Didn't get there. Life got in the way. Things got, I got sidetracked. It didn't happen yet, but hopefully maybe next week I can give a full, or even like this weekend I'm doing interviews with my massage therapist, so I probably won't get around to filming this weekend, but we'll see what happens. As a reminder, for those of you that are just joining us, we're talking about the Karen Read trial, which has recently ended. The last day was July 1st. It was deemed a mistrial because the jury came back hung. This trial was based in Canton, Massachusetts, and that's about an hour away from where I live. And there's been a lot of it's been a very unusual trial. It's been a very unusual investigation. And the short summary is that the victim, a person died. His name was John O'Keefe. He's a victim, and he died in January 2022 after a night out of drinking with a bunch of people that he was friends with and his girlfriend. And it was a blizzard, and his body was found in the snow in the blizzard at like 5 a.m. the next morning, in hypothermia, with wounds to the back of his head and on his arms, a missing shoe, missing a hat. And he was found on the front lawn of one of the police officers that he was friendly with. And so because of the police officer connection, it gets really messy because there's so many people. There were something like 78 or 79 witnesses that were in this trial, and a lot of them had to do with that. The defendant, her name was Karen Read, which is why it's called the Karen Read trial. She was being accused of hitting Officer John O'Keefe, her now deceased boyfriend, the victim, who she was been accused by the state of Massachusetts for hitting him and leaving him to die in the snow. And originally, Massachusetts charged her with charges that it was more of an accident than intentional, and then they ended up increasing the charges to intentional murder too. So that's kind of like the gist of what happened to some extent. But as the trial got going and people started getting interviewed and witnesses were coming to the stand and they were talking about things, more and more things started to come to light that were very questionable about the choices of the people that were involved in the investigative process. Poor evidence collection, poor chain of evidence, no chain of evidence, very bizarre choices as far as who's interviewing who, like the main investigator who interviewed a lot of the key witnesses actually knew them or knew them through association with somebody else. Instead of recusing himself, he had his hands in everything, and a lot of people had access to the evidence that, like, it wasn't locked up in storage, so that could have been tampered with. And the lead investigator, his name is Michael Proctor, texts were brought forward while he was on the witness stand about that he wrote about the defendant rather. Horrible name calling. Only 15 hours into the investigation, he had already declared and decided that she was the one who was responsible for everything, and there wasn't even enough evidence for that at the time, and openly discussing an open investigation, a brand new open investigation via text with his wife, with buddies from high school, with other law enforcement officers that were not working in the case, and just talking a lot of trash unprofessionally. So the reason why the Massachusetts State Police right now are saying that he is suspended without pay pending investigation is because of that misconduct. But the wild thing is that they didn't even decide. So he testified, and one of the reasons why I wanted to go back and track the timeline was he didn't testify at the very end of the trial. He testified, I'd have to say, about 3/4 through. So he was a witness for the prosecution. He was not the last witness for the prosecution. And then the defense had at least 5, maybe I want to say 8 witnesses before they had closing statements. So he did not testify at the very end of the trial. It was sort of like middle to like 3/4 of the way through. And they did not, they meaning the state of Massachusetts State Police, did not suspend him until after it came back that there was a mistrial. They waited, which is another like really interesting like choice and controversy, because so did you, if she was convicted, would you have said anything about his misconduct? Would you have given him any kind of reprimand? Or did you wait intentionally so that they could convict her? And then because they didn't, now you've reprimanded him. So there's a lot of that going on. And then the other thing, and this is like my 3rd or 4th stream about this trial. For those of you that don't know me, I usually do tarot readings, but I'm also fascinated by true crime stuff, and this specific case caught my eye. So I wanted to talk about it with my community and maybe pull some cards and just look at the energy and all that kind of thing. So I'm trying to like bullet point everything to be like straightforward. But since the trial ended, there have been multiple things that have been reported that have occurred in the news or in the law streamer community. And one of the things was a lot of the key witness people who were either the Alberts or the McCabe's, which was this very prominent family in the town of Canton that had their hands in all the law enforcement stuff. They ended up harassing and having the police called on them by one of the YouTube streamers, because he went to like have dinner at one of the landmarks, and he also drove. He was investigating the claims of one of the things that one of the prosecution, the state witnesses claimed. One of the state witness tech people claimed that there were steps recorded on the victim's phone, that he had taken steps down a flight of stairs, when part of what's being claimed is that he never entered the home. Part of what the state's claiming is he didn't enter the home. Part of what the Alberts are stating, he never entered the home. Everybody's claiming he didn't enter the home, but his cell data shows that he descended 88 steps. He descended a flight of stairs around this time that all this was happening. And so one of the state's tech witnesses, claimed that aligns with the street that this whole thing occurred on, that there is a very steep incline hill and he was walking down the hill, and that was tracked in the data of the phone as a descendant of stairs. Now, this YouTube streamer, his name is Turtle Boy. Well, his handle is Turtle Boy. His actual name is Aiden Kearney, I think. Decided to go and drive, because he lives in the area too. He lives in another city in Massachusetts called Worcester, and it's about 40 minutes from me. So he lives about 20 minutes away from where everything took place for this murder. So he, after the trial was over, after everything, he was recording himself. He had like a dash cam, and he was driving on the streets, the exact streets that the prosecution witness, tech witness, claimed that was the reason why there was stairs recorded on the victim's cell phone. And the crazy thing is, the street is completely flat. There's no hills. There's no hills at all. So that is interesting, that was what was claimed on the actual, like, on the stand, that was claimed. And it's too bad that the defense didn't do that. It's too bad, like, the defense didn't go and actually look at the street and track it and, like, bring it up and be like, how can you claim that these steps were him walking down the hill when there is no hill? Where's the hill? So that's interesting. But a lot of the jury lived in the area, so maybe they knew the area, I don't know. And so this YouTuber guy just went to, he did that. He documented the road, and then he went to dinner at one of the establishments that was part of the trial, and just wanted to support a smaller business, wanted to see what it was like. Like, he wasn't filming or anything. He was just minding his business. He was in the area. He wanted to go have dinner. And when the thing is, this establishment is literally right next door to a pizza place that one of the Alberts owns, which is, the Alberts is that predominant family. So all of the Alberts were hanging out at this pizza place. They're all standing on the sidewalk. And as soon as the YouTuber steps outside of the restaurant he was in, they all swarmed him. And he recorded it. He recorded it live. He live streamed what was going on to have documentation that this is what's actually happening. This is who these people are. And they had actually pressed charges against him, claiming he had witnessed, like, during the trial, trying to force him out of the courtroom. He's a member of the press, but they tried to force him out of the courtroom, saying that he was intimidating them as victims. And then these people are the ones, so he had a felony charge placed against him by these people, and these exact people are attacking him on the street. There was a crowd of them. There must have been 9 of them at least, screaming at him and flipping out at him. And, like, he wasn't even instigating. From what I could see, it did not look like he was instigating. And another, like, random witness that was part of the trial, like, suddenly flew up in a car and jumped out of the car and got in his face and was screaming at him and hit his phone out of his hand. And the phone that he was recording went flying. It was pretty wild. And this is after the trial. The trial was over. But just watching these people act like this, because these people basically run the town. They run the town of Canton. One of the people is the selectman of his name's Chris Albert. And again, I want to go through who is who with everything at some point. But one of the people is the selectman, which means he's, like, on the town council. So they run the town. They run the town. It's a much bigger, deeper rooted problem than just this one little trial. There's a lot more going on there. And this trial is just, like, putting a spotlight on a lot of the corruption in this area. So, with that said, these people were attacking this YouTuber. It is a small size town. Yes, I'm not sure the population, but it sounds like it's the kind of community that everybody knows everybody. And like if you went to high school, if you went to high school around the same time, you all knew each other. Like it wasn't a big high school. I'm gonna look to see the population. All right, so their population right now, it's 24,760. I want to compare it to where I grew up. Okay, so it's double where I grew up. Where I grew up, it was 12,485. So it's probably like a mid-sized suburb, is what I would say. Because the town that I grew up in was very, very, very small. There was only one high school, and the high school, there was 2 elementary schools, there was no middle schools, and then there was a junior, senior high school when I went to school. So you were in elementary school from kindergarten to 6th grade when I was in school. And then when you got into 7th grade, you went to the high school. They had a junior high, which was 7th and 8th grade. And then they had the senior high, 9 through 12. So there were 6 grades in one building. And I graduated with 95 people. My graduating class had 95 people graduating in it. So if you went to school at the school that I went to, I knew people that were 2 or 3 or even 4 grades above me and several grades below me, just because it was such a small community. I know they hate all of the attention, hence trying to get all of the rebels out of the drama. Right. They hate the negative press. Exactly. But what did you think? So like the crazy part was that about this whole like confrontation after the fact with Turtle Boy, and they were all like screaming at him and flipping out. They like, wouldn't you think? So they have federal charges pressed against him for witness intimidation. They obviously don't look intimidated by him at all. They're ganging up on him, screaming. None of them have any common sense to be like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. He's broadcasting this. I should chill out. None of them. 2 different people assaulted him on camera. Like, none of them had the common sense, because they are so above the law in this area that they are allowed to act and do whatever they want. And that was one of the things with this trial, that a lot of these people that were involved, and there was a lot of players there. There was like, wait a minute. John O'Keefe, which is the victim. Karen Reed, which is the defendant. Then we have the Albert family. So we have Colin Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, Julie Albert, Brian Higgins, Caitlin McCabe, and there's definitely more. There's somebody else named Sergeant Lank, who we haven't even really talked about him at all. He was also sort of mixed into this. Chris Albert is another one. So all of these people can act however they want. And that list of people I just listed, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert, Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, Julie Albert, Brian Higgins, they were all out together drinking at 2 different establishments that night before John O'Keefe was found in the snow. And all of them, including Karen Reed and John O'Keefe, everybody drank and everybody drove. Everybody drank and drove. Everybody was seen getting into vehicles and leaving. And that's a regular thing in this area. Drunk driving, if you know the right people, Like literally in the city that I live in, the mayor, the ex-mayor, he's not the mayor anymore, but it's because he's running the entire state public transit authority here now. I think he's been put on leave though, because he's gotten being pulled over multiple times in the city for drunk driving, and nobody charged him because he was the mayor. It's about who you know. Entitlement. It makes me sick. Get those people alone and you'll see the true cowards they are. Well, that's one of the things, that's kind of where I was going with that, actually. So all of these, the news media has been calling them the McAlberts, because the McCabe's are also, so Matt McCabe is married to Jen McCabe, and Jen McCabe's maiden name, is she? No, Jen McCabe is the sister of Brian Albert's wife. So like they're all linked together somehow. So they're calling them the McAlberts just to kind of like sandwich them all together into this big family grouping. And the crazy thing is that one of the things that's being said by like Turtle Boy and some of these other law vloggers is these people are acting like this in broad daylight. It was this time of day. It was bright outside. There was people all up and down this parking strip mall. There was tons of people in the parking lot watching, lots of witnesses. People are watching this, and these people are screaming and yelling and harassing this guy Turtle Boy and his girlfriend, and saying horrible things at his girlfriend too. Oh, are you pregnant? You look pregnant. Like just terrible things. And she does not look pregnant, in my opinion, and she's not pregnant. And who the hell are you to say anything about that? Just like shitty stuff. And they were on camera, and you would think you'd have some common sense in your head about like, this is going to be presented. There's going to be another like small civil trial about the witness intimidation thing. And now he has all this evidence because you couldn't contain yourself. So, and he was saying, like, can you imagine? This is how this crew of people act in broad daylight with tons of witnesses because they can. Can you imagine how, and the theory is that they're the ones that killed John O'Keefe. They're the ones that killed the victim. That he came into the home, they attacked him, and then they brought his body out and left it on the yard to frame Karen Reed. That is the theory. And I don't know, but like these people aren't even controlling themselves in broad daylight on the streets in front of everybody. Can you imagine how they act when nobody else is watching, when there's no witnesses? Don't know. Like that, it's just sus, and it's too bad. If there is another trial, I hope that some of that could be entered in as evidence, as like character, like evidence of their characters. I don't know if that would even legally be able to be entered in. I don't know, but like it's a part of it. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, so before the jurors came forward, John O'Keefe, the victim, the one who's passed away, his brother, his name is Paul O'Keefe, did an interview for one of the local news outlets. Not a YouTube video, but like a local news media. And his brother firmly believes that Karen Reed is guilty. 100% believes that she's guilty. So this trial did not sway him at all from thinking otherwise. And the reason why he believes this, and he explained it a bit, is that some of the final interactions they had. Hold on, you guys. Sorry, I forgot to turn my ringer off. Wait 1 second. Oh, come on. Thank you. I didn't realize my ringer was on. Whoops. So some of the interactions that, shoot, that made me lose my train of thought. Hold on. Oh, okay. So some of the interactions that Karen Reed had with the O'Keefe people after all this happened, it made them really suspect her. Some of the things that she said, they felt that she was guilty because of that. So one thing was like, you know, the did I hit him? I hit him. I hit him. There's that. They had been fighting at one point, not the night they went out, but like previously they had been having a lot of arguments because of different reasons. But I guess like she had sent some kind of text to Paul O'Keefe's wife saying that she really valued their friendship. And if her and John O'Keefe ever broke up, she hopes that they could stay friends. And then she said something one day when she was fighting with John O'Keefe, not the night of the murder, that she regrets, she wished she hadn't known an O'Keefe, hadn't spoke to an O'Keefe after the year like 2004 or something. So, because her and John O'Keefe knew each other when they were young, and then they reconnected more recently. So there were those comments, but it kind of just sounds like basic like couple fighting shit. It doesn't really, to me, that doesn't sound like anything that would make her guilty. She did have, but the other thing is that in Paul's O'Keefe, the brother, their surviving brother, Paul's personal experience, when Karen Reed had found out that John O'Keefe had passed away, instead of being with the family, like the O'Keefe family, she went home to her parents in a blizzard. She didn't stay with the victim's family, with her boyfriend's, now deceased boyfriend's family. So that looked really fishy to the O'Keefe family in general. Like, why would she run away like that? Why wouldn't she stay? She's been here with the niece and nephew. She's been part of our family because she had been included. It wasn't like she didn't know them. So they found that really strange. And yeah, it does look weird, but I also think like everybody deals with grief and shocking episodes differently. And if if her safety place is her parents, it would make sense that she would just want to go and be with her parents. Like she didn't want to be there. Like she wanted to get away from it. But then like when she got to her parents, I guess she sent a text to, again, Paul's wife, the victim's brother's wife, saying something like, I guess I'll never see you again, or something like that, which is kind of a strange thing to say, but also like if you know this whole story, like she was giving this guy, John O'Keefe, CPR in the middle of the road. She was covered in his blood. She was wailing and screaming and scared. And it's on camera from dash cam evidence from the police officer dash cam. So like, I don't want to minimize what Paul O'Keefe's theory is, because I mean, to lose your brother in a tragic thing like this, it's obviously you're going to see things your way. And I'm not saying he's wrong, because I don't know if he's wrong or not, but he definitely isn't open for other theories. Like, this is the way he sees it. This is what he believes. He despises her because he believes that she killed his brother, and that's all there is to it. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. But so that came out, and he said that they were going to be trying it again. This was before, though, Trooper Proctor got suspended without pay. That he was interviewed before that happened. So he didn't have a lot. He didn't have all this other information, and I don't know what's going to happen there. But he said he was ready to go again. Like, we're going to go again. We're going to try again. I'm going to sit there every day in court again. I'm ready. We're going to do it again, is what the brother said. I don't know. It sounded like he wasn't sure if his mother was going to attend every day, but he was definitely going to go. Now, in the meantime, shifting gears back to Turtle Boy, this YouTuber, the harassment that he has received is outrageous. Like, to the point of where people were sending his mother things. Somebody sent his mother flowers pretending to be him. And then more recently, his mother, and I saw pictures of this, but I don't have pictures and I'm not going to share them. This is going to be a little bit graphic, so brace yourselves. His mother, at his mother's house, found a large, I'm not talking about little, a large, real turtle with a broken neck, hung by the neck on her front door saying Turtle Boy must die. Like, somebody actually killed a turtle and hung it on her front porch because her son is Turtle Boy and Turtle Boy must die. People are sick. They literally killed an innocent animal just to scare his mother. And then right after that, his mother died. Literally died because she had cancer and she had been sick and she had been fighting cancer. And that's what it's like around here. There are some people that are so amazing around here. And there are some people that are so incredibly terrible, disgusting human beings. And I know it's like that everywhere, but unfortunately, because of the culture up here, a lot of, if you're in the right crowd, you get away with shit. And I don't know anybody that's in that crowd, but if you're in that crowd, you get away. I mean, I told you guys a story about the CEO that I personally knew. What do you think witchcraft was involved in any part of this? I don't think so. It didn't look like a spell. It just looked like a threat. It just looked like a hate mail kind of thing. I didn't see any kind of symbols or any kind of, like, maybe it was a spell, but I didn't see anything there that would have made me think that it was. I had a hard time looking at the picture. Hey, Kristen, are you feeling any better? I honestly had a hard time looking at the picture because, you know, I love animals more than I love people. So that was really hard for me to look at. So I don't know. We'll see if, like, they don't have any evidence of who did it or anything. So unfortunately, it's not like they can, if there's another trial, they can talk about that. Like, that won't come up at another trial. I've emerged, she says. Kristen's been feeling really sick, the poor thing. So anybody watching, send her love right now. So I'm trying to think, what else did I want to talk about? Okay, so then Trooper Proctor gets fully, first he was suspended with pay pending investigation. Then then he had a hearing, and at the hearing they said, nope, you're no longer, and he had been moved. He had been removed from the duty that he had been assigned. He had been reassigned, rehomed, basically. And then they were like, nope, you're going to be without pay at all, which is very normal. That happens in state-run positions or like city jobs, things like that. Around here, that's how it works. I don't know if that's how it works in the whole country, but in this area, that is how it works. They do the same thing with teachers. They do the same thing with COs. They do the same thing with any kind of, like, city employee, because it's like there needs to be a proper official investigation that's done. But usually, if you're suspended without pay, you're going to end up losing your job once everything, like, they already know. But it's not official. They have to go through all the official channels of everything. So there's that. And I actually just heard a press release that was given by the Massachusetts State Police which is where Trooper Proctor works, and the other by the Massachusetts State Police Union. Two totally different sides. The state police were like, we find this apprehensible, like we find this disgusting. We do not tolerate any kind of corruption and poor investigation and this and that and the other thing. Like they went on and on and on about how terrible it was, and there will be a full investigation done on him. And then the union is saying, no, he's a good guy. He did his job. You don't have a right to suspend him without pay. And I mean, that's what the union does. But like the union is like, no, he's a good person. Like they have his back, which that's the culture around here, sadly. So there's that. And then last night, I saw that another officer was suspended. But I believe, and I'm just going to double check that information really quickly because I don't want to misinform. There's also been a lot of protests that have been going on there, going on around the courthouse and things like that. So 4 jurors have come forward so far. The most recent one yesterday said, many of the jurors appeared uncomfortable with how things ended, wondering, is anyone going to know that we acquitted Karen Read on count 1 and 3? No one ever asked about those counts. And then the other person that was suspended, let me see if I can find it. There was another one. He was an Albert. Kevin Albert on paid administrative leave as his actions with Michael Proctor are investigated. See, you can't really get drunk and lose your badge and gun and not have consequences. Sorry, Kev. So that was on Twitter. So Kevin Albert is another one of the Alberts. He wasn't too much involved in the trial itself, but there were text messages that came to light during the trial between Trooper Proctor and Kevin Albert. And because they had gone out drinking, which was the reason why those text messages came forward, was the defense was again showing Trooper Proctor knows the Alberts, because the main lead investigator should not know the people he's investigating. He should not know the witnesses he's taking statements from. He should not be in a close, like, even if he knows them, they should be a minimal level of knowledge. It shouldn't be like a close knit thing. And he, like, his wife, no, his sister used to leave her kids, so his nieces and nephews were babysat by these people. So like, it's not just like a little, oh yeah, I know them, I went to high school. Like, no, this is like he knows them. And Brian Albert was also a police officer, and Trooper Proctor and Brian Albert had gone out drinking one night, I guess. And the only reason why this was relevant was the defense brought this in with text messages between the two of them, being because they had gone to Cape Cod and back, which Cape Cod is about like an hour or so. And Brian Albert was asking Michael Proctor, do you know where my badge and gun are? Like, they went out drinking Michael Proctor drove his police cruiser, and Michael Proctor was like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure it's in my cruiser," and Kevin Albert lost his gun and badge because he got so drunk, and they were talking about the hangover and stuff like that. He couldn't find his gun and badge, and it's because he left it in Michael Proctor's police cruiser that they were driving while drunk. And yeah, so that's a piece of the puzzle too. So he's also suspended without pay, under investigation right now. And the final thing was that multiple jurors came forward saying what I just said, that and they've been coming forward, meaning reaching out to the defense, etc., that they unanimously, the full jury unanimously said on count 1 and count 3, she is not guilty. It was count 2, which had it was lesser charges that I think had to do with drinking and driving and leaving the scene of an accident. There was something there. It was one of the lesser charges that wasn't very clear in the terminology. Count 2 was the one that they were getting stuck on. But they all believed she did not hit him on purpose with malice. They all believed that. So the murder too, which is she hit him on purpose, should have been not guilty. That they could have done like a review before just declaring the whole thing a mistrial. The judge could have looked at each individual count, and there's a reason why she was tried for 3 different counts, because it's 3 different crimes. So the 2 crimes, the count 1 and 3, that they found her not guilty, they could have just given her not guilty. And then this third one, this count 2, could have been the one that was a hung jury mistrial. But so then 1 and 3 would have been totally wiped off the board, and she could never be tried for them again. And that is not how it played out. And a lot of jurors have reached out to the defense or have reached out to the news or whatever, and they're slowly one at a time coming forward, and all of them are saying the same thing. Count 1 and 3 was not guilty. Count 2 was the one they disagreed on, and count 2, they disagreed on it because the wording was confusing. And it's interesting that that's why, because there was an issue with the jury forms, with the guilty, not guilty forms, while they were deliberating, that needed to be adjusted. And even then that wasn't well explained. Now, was that the prosecution's fault? Was that the defense's fault? Was that the judge's fault? It sounds, from what I've researched, a little bit of all of them, because the judge didn't explain it well, but the defense and the prosecution could have spoken up and had it explained better, or asked for more direction, or given better direction. So they didn't. So who's to blame on that one? It's a little bit of everybody. But the fact that the jury didn't get hold of what their counts were, is very, I guess that's like a big thing right now. And the defense has now made a motion to dismiss counts 1 and 3 because the jury said they were unanimously not guilty. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I would think common sense would say they would get declared not guilty, declared dismissed, but I don't know how this works. I'm not a legal analyst. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not, I'm just a regular person. I think we are gonna pull some cards around it in a second. But it is it's interesting that as this continues to unfold, in the meantime, the Trooper Proctor situation, his behavior, his suspension, all of that is going to ripple affect a lot of other things that he has done. And apparently he did have his hands on a different, very high profile case. So now there's questions that are coming up in the legal world of what is this going to look like for his other case? What is that going to look like? What is that going to do? How is that going to affect things? I feel like there's one more thing that I want to say. Oh, so because he's been suspended without pay, because the lead investigator has been suspended without pay, just that alone, a lot of people are speculating, well, why would the prosecution even want to try this case again, where it was such a mess and you can't change the way that evidence was collected. It was collected this way. It was collected in red Solo cups and Stop and Shop grocery bags, and there was no chain of evidence, and the text messages and the butt dials and the lost phones and the lost data and the videos that were inversed, and then there was lost video, and like, you can't change any of those things. You can't go back in time and change that evidence. That is the evidence. That's how the evidence was collected. That's how it happened. You can't suddenly go, oh, okay, well, they were in Solo cups. Let's put them in sterile bags now, and it'll fix everything. Like, stuff is already contaminated if it's going to be contaminated. Stuff has already been tampered with. Like, there's no, if it was. So there's no way to go back and change the poor handling of everything. The interviews were all done. The interviews with all the McCabe's and the McAlberts were all done in the same room. They didn't separate the witnesses. So everybody was on the same page with their story, and they all got their stories in line with each other because nobody was separated. So, like, those things can't be redone. Yes, you can talk about it on the witness stand, but those you can't re-interview somebody and get original information after separate. You can't separate them. They've already talked. They've already talked to each other. They've already been on the witness stand. This is 2 years later. It's already been a thing, an ongoing thing. So I don't know what's going to happen. I honestly, personally believe if the state decides to try it again, that they are ridiculous, honestly. I do feel that the prosecutor is very ego-based, and like, so he has a bone to pick, and he has a thing to prove. I do believe that. So I want to look at if they're going to try the case again. I want to look at if they're going to dismiss, if the defense will be successful at dismissing counts 1 and 2. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I want to look at? And let me know if there's something that you guys want me to look at around this that I'm not thinking of. But I definitely want to look at those 2 things. And then we'll do another update, probably just one day next week. Definitely next week. I'm just not sure what day yet. Maybe Thursday. So, and then I'll probably wrap up soon because it's almost 8 o'clock here, and I want to start winding down, and it's going to get dark, and I don't want to turn lights on to film. So I'm going to go check on my zoo. I'm glad you're doing better, Kristen. It's terrible for you, you poor thing. I didn't end up streaming on TikTok. I'm just on YouTube right now. I didn't feel like dealing with TikTok. Oh, gosh, I am tired, too. I did not sleep good last night. Oh, there's I think that's a young bunny. Oh, it is. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think it's a tiny one. It's not my hurt one. It's a smaller one, though. Maybe it's. I get really excited about having baby bunnies every season because then that means there'll be more bunnies next year. The first baby, but usually I see several rounds of babies. I've only seen 2 babies this entire season so far. One was in the early spring around May, and that one disappeared. I never, like, it didn't, I don't know, I think something got it. I think it died. I didn't see it again after a few weeks. And now this one that's been getting a little bit bigger, its paws are messed. Something's up. It's limping. So I'm like, oh my God. Like the 2 babies that so far that we've had, they're not doing good. Like I need more bunnies. I need more bunnies. All right, let's look at this. So I had said we're going to look at if counts 1 and 3 will be dismissed and if they're going to try it again. So let's look at counts 1 and 3 first. What's going to happen with counts 1 and 3? And those will be together because it's the same like situation where they both were found unanimously as not guilty. So let's see what it's going to happen with counts 1 and 3. We have the 7 of Cups. What's going to happen with counts 1 and 3? Eight of Swords. I don't like this. This doesn't look too good. What's going to happen with counts 1 and 3? 5 of Pentacles reversed. Let's do 2 more and see what comes out. What's going to happen with counts 1 and 3? Moon reversed and Knight of Cups. So with the Knight of Cups being the final card, I do feel like it is much more likely that it will be, the counts will be dismissed. However, this is a long road. This is not something that's fast. I don't see that happening quickly. With the 7 of Cups and the 8 of Swords that came out first, this is making me feel like there's multiple pathways of trying to get to that result. And there's going to be a lot of, to me, this is red tape when it comes to legal things or when it comes to like documentation or court stuff or contracts. It's kind of like we're tied up in like all the things that need to happen. So this could be like, oh, there's a lot of different things that still need to be proved, different motions that need to be made. Excuse me, guys. I'm drinking seltzer, which makes me burp. Different motions that need to be made. So it really all depends on, again, I'm not a legal person. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't have context for because I'm not somebody that works in the court systems or anything. But I do feel like there's going to be a lot of things like maybe they submit something, which they already have, and then it comes back and then they have to readjust it and then it comes back. Like it kind of feels like that back and forth. And it does feel like it's going to be tied up in time, tied up in paperwork, tied up in kind of scrambling to try to see what needs to be completed and proved for that evidence, because it can't be dismissed until there's enough evidence and until there's substantial evidence. So I know that a few of the juror information is hearsay or it's like the telephone game because 2 different jurors, I know one juror didn't actually come forward, not directly to the defense. What they did was they were in a Zoom meeting with people at work and they had been a juror, people at their regular work. And in their Zoom meeting, they told people in the Zoom meeting with their coworkers, oh, we dismissed counts 1 and 3. They were not guilty, but nobody covered that. And then one of the coworkers that was present at the Zoom meeting then reached out to a friend who then reached out to the defense. It's like literally the telephone game. So, okay, I'm the juror. I'm in a Zoom meeting with people that I work with, and I tell everybody, yeah, we dismissed counts 1 and 3. We found her not guilty. And then like one of you guys heard me say it in a Zoom meeting. So then you contacted a friend of yours, and that friend of yours ended up contacting the defense. Like it's like 4 degrees of separation. So that one doesn't really like that one doesn't really fly when it comes to court legalities. Now, whether that Zoom meeting juror comes forward directly and directly contacts the defense, that remains to be seen. There's still, there's still time. They absolutely can. Bunny, lots of bunnies. One juror definitely did come forward. Absolutely came forward to the defense and let the defense know. And now it seems like, because that juror number 4, that it was on Twitter. I believe a 4th juror has now come forward with that information. Also, because of the way the arguments need to go for this, and that's part of what this is, and I totally didn't even think of that until I'm just saying it. Something I was watching, I don't know if it wasn't last night. I think it was the night before. Emily D. Baker is one of the law people I recommend watching on YouTube if you're interested in her. She was live talking about this, about the jurors coming forward, about the defense making a motion to eliminate 1 and 3, counts 1 and 3. And when she was going through it, there was an additional lawyer. So the defense lawyers are Adam Jackson, or people would call him AJ, or Alan Jackson. I'm sorry, Alan Jackson. People would call him AJ, and David Yannetti. Those are the 2 main defense lawyers. In the document, which is called an affidavit with the motion to dismiss, there was an affidavit from David Yannetti, and there was an affidavit from Alan Jackson, which is basically their testimony in documentary form. And it was them saying, a juror came forward to me, this is what they said, this is why we're making this motion. So basically, and this is really getting into the weeds of the legal speak, and I think that's what this is all about. Basically, because one juror went to David Yannetti, which is one of the defense lawyers. Another juror went to Alan Jackson, which is another defense lawyer. They, meaning David Yannetti and Alan Jackson, are now witnesses that could be called to the stand to share their testimony that a juror told them X, Y, and Z. So apparently with legal situations, when a lawyer who is representing a defendant has now gotten into this place where the lawyer is actually a witness because of this type of thing where a juror reached out to them, the lawyers cannot interview each other. If they're both witnesses, they can't have direct examination or cross-examination. They can't examine the other lawyer on the stand. So they had to hire a 3rd lawyer. And that's what I feel like all this is. They had to bring in a 3rd lawyer, an outer lawyer, to come in and write all this up, say, I'm only representing Karen Reed for this specific situation because of the juror things and the affidavits and the witness testimonies from Alan Jackson, the defense attorney, and from David Yannetti, the defense attorney. I know that's a little confusing, but I feel like that's what's going on here. That's like the whole crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure every little thing is initialed and written off and followed through and done exactly in proper procedural form. And I feel like that's what's happening. That's part of the holdup. Then we have the 5 of Pentacles in the reversal. And then we have the Moon in the reversal. So I do feel like there's going to be some progress made. And then I feel like it's going to be backslid again. And I feel like this part has something to do with some of the sketchy stuff that's going on with everything. Because the Moon in the reversal is very secretive, the hidden. What do we not know? What do we not see? What is going on there? So I do feel like they're going to make some progress. It's going to sound like they're making some progress. And then something pops up that again, like backslides it a bit, that has to do with conflict of interest or issues with the corruption somehow or something of that nature. Again, I'm not going to say who because I don't really know, and I don't want to blame anybody for anything. And I'm definitely being very careful about accusing anyone of anything because I'm not here to do that legally. I definitely am not here to do that. I'm not going to do that. But I do feel like that is part of the process with this whole trying to get the court, the state of Massachusetts and the courts to, this could even end up being like, oh, it goes to appeals. I'm not sure. I don't think it can go to appeals until she's actually flat out convicted of a crime. So I don't feel like that it's going to be to that extent. But with this Knight of Cups as the final card, as I said, I do feel like this is basically going to come in as, yes, you've won. You've won. I'm just reading on count 1 and count 3, which are the 2 counts that the jurors are now coming forward saying, hey, wait a minute. We said she was not guilty on these 2 things. Hold on a minute. She's not guilty. We as the jury, all of us agreed she's not guilty. So this could also be having to hunt down all the other jurors and interviewing them and seeing if they all say the same thing. I have no idea how that legal process works. Do all 12 jurors need to say that? Do all 12 jurors need to be checked in with by the court or something? I don't know. If you do know, feel free to comment at some point. If you're watching this later on, feel free to comment and let me know. Cause I don't know. Do you guys know? What do you know? Cause I don't know. I'm going to pull a Moonology card on this too, because Moonology is pretty cutthroat as far as the truth is concerned. And then we will look at if there's going to be a new trial, like an actual new trial. What are you guys thinking? Talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking. Are you messaging me? Are you writing comments and I'm not seeing them? Or are you just quiet and listening? What are your thoughts about all of this? I just want to make sure that I'm not missing comments or chat that.
This is me 3 years ago, hosing down my 46-pound baby hippo named him. He was always active, but we were.
Okay, no, I'm not missing anything. It just says the last thing I have on here was from Kristen. Okay, I wanted to make sure. All right, so let's see. Moonology. What do we got going on there? As far as counts 1 and 3 for Karen Reed, what's going to happen? Show us what we need to know about that. Interesting. It is time to take action. I want to look up what it says. New moon in Aries. I want to look up what that's about. And then we're going to look at if they're going to try again. And then I'll probably wrap up. You're pretty good with the legal reads. You read the verdict beautifully. Yeah. I kept a picture of that too. Actually, I want to take a picture of this too, just so that I don't forget. And maybe I'll just post it in the community tab or something. I like to document it for myself because, this is a new thing for me. This is fun. It's just something fun that I'm trying. New moon in Aries. Okay. The flame is lit. A wonderful new start beckons and you're on the right track. Drawing this card is, so remember, this is about counts 1 and 3 and what we need to know about it for Karen Reed. Drawing this card is a superbly positive sign if there is something you want to happen in your life. Take this card as a big yes from the universe. This is the time to really tune into your dreams. You may still have a long way to go. After all, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, but you're on your way. Determination, self-assertion, and bravery are called for, but the hot fire of Aries is driving you towards success in whatever endeavor you're asking about. The caution, don't go too fast and forget your manners. Treat people well as you charge towards your goals. You'll create much better karma for yourself. Don't even think about giving up. Do your best and be happy with that. Avoid being brash right now. You need a 12-month plan. A new male is coming into your life, which actually could be that other, I'm pretty sure it's a male who that other lawyer is. The teaching, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so the new moon in Aries is the first of the 12 or 13 new moons of the year. If you're committed to working with all lunations, then the new moon in Aries is the right time to start. In drawing this card, no matter when you do it, signifies it's also the ideal time to start your moon work, such as setting intentions. Okay, so quiet and listening. I believe she will be just fine ultimately, although she will have people that will constantly come for her, but I think it will be more so emotionally and not on the legal side. Yeah, I agree with that. So I feel like what this is basically, I'm going to say by Aries or within a year from now, this is going to be cleared up. That's what I'm going to say about that. So either by the time we get into the sign of Aries, which is end of March, middle of April. Yeah. End of March, middle of April. Right? Is that right? Yes, that's right. That's right. I don't know why I'm questioning myself. I know the zodiacs by heart. I don't know why my brain. It's because I'm tired. It's been a long day. Hold on. Okay. So I'm going to take a picture of this. If I can get my phone to cooperate. Okay. So there's that. And then we're going to look at the other one we were going to look at is if the state of Massachusetts even decides to try her at all again, to go through with the charges again. So let's look at that one. And then I'm going to wrap up because as you guys can tell, it's getting dark. And I want to go hang out with my buns if they're in the backyard still a little bit before it gets dark. It's been like so disgusting here the last like week and a half or so. It's been just so hot and humid and like, I mean, it's the summer, so that's normal. But it's been like raining a lot. So there's been a lot of like more mosquito. Like usually I don't get mosquitoes at my house because I live near the ocean. But there's been a lot of mosquitoes. I've gotten a lot of just being like out on my deck for like 20 minutes. I've gotten a ton of mosquito bites, which I don't like that. And I don't like having to put bug spray on just to step outside for 10 minutes. So I haven't been going outside as much, but I'd like to try to get out there a little bit every day. Okay, so let's look at, we're going to look at if the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is going to try Karen Read, if there's going to be a new trial of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Karen Read. And I'm not looking at what specific charges. We're just looking at if there will be, if they're going to take her to court again, if there's going to be another trial, another criminal trial that will happen. Show us the potential of another criminal trial. Eight of Swords again. Interesting. Death reversed. I got two. Hold on. Three of Cups reversed. Nine of Wands. Two of Cups. I reversed. I really feel like there's gonna be another one. I don't want there to be. Logically, to me, I don't feel like it makes any sense. But Eight of Swords and Death card reversed tells me that somebody is still stuck very much in their head about this and they're not letting things go. They're not moving forward. And this is very likely the prosecution or the state or something. The prosecutor or maybe the district attorney. That tells me that somebody's not letting things go. And because of that, they want to show that the community isn't corrupt. They want to show like there can be trust in the legal system and the system of the community. With this Three of Cups in the reversal, that's about community, but it's about community falling apart. And with the Nine of Wands, that's about the rebuilding, trying to rebuild trust, trying to fix things, trying to make it better. I feel like there's going to be something here that there may even be pressure. There may even be pressure from like a government official, like maybe the governor, that pushes like, oh, we want to inspire that our legal system works, that it's not corrupt. You need to do it again. You need to do it better. You need to do it right. Like something like that, I feel could happen. So this isn't saying that she's going to get convicted. I'm just reading on if they're going to try her again. We have the Two of Cups, which isn't in the reversal. It's not a good card. And it's the final card. It's basically saying that things are not going to be harmonious. Let me pull a Moonology card. But I feel like by the way that this is looking, it looks to me like there's going to be some kind of other trial. And this makes no sense. Hold on. I'm gonna shuffle that again. You and your loved ones are safe is the one that came out, which doesn't make any sense because it doesn't match the energy of what I'm getting here. So let me just focus on that a little bit better and see if it wants to come out again. It wants to come out again. Show me what I need to know about a potential new trial of Massachusetts and Karen Reed. Show me what I need to know about a potential new trial of Massachusetts versus Karen Reed. Is there a new trial? Show me what I need to know about the new trial. If there is one, what do we need to know about Massachusetts, Karen Reed? Massachusetts, Karen Reed. Massachusetts, Karen Reed. Come on. You don't want to give me one now? Are you mad at me because I shuffled it back in? Massachusetts, Karen Reed, please. Show me a new trial. There we go. Your commitment is being tested. First quarter moon. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna do it. Let's look at what this says. I feel like they're gonna do it because to me, commitment being tested is like, are you going to commit to this trial? Are you going to commit to fight? Okay, there could be some challenges coming your way, but but they're just the universe's way of testing you. The first quarter moon calls for you to face any hurdles with confidence. What do you actually think is possible? If you believe you can do it, then you probably can. If you spend your life affirming that something is too big for you to surmount, it probably is. See how that works? Do you believe your dreams will come true, or have you secretly already given up? Showing some commitment now will help you move towards your desired outcome. What you believe to be true is true for you. So believe in yourself. I am committed to my dreams and move towards them with confidence. The answer to your question is yes, but not yet. You're halfway to your goal. You need to put in a bit more effort. Sometimes we just need to realize how much we want something. You need to recommit to someone or something. In the lunar cycle, the first quarter moon comes between the new moon and the full moon. It's time when the sun and moon are at a hard astrological angle to each other, and this can prompt a small crisis. No matter when you pull this card, you need to see any dramas as a stepping stone to where you want to be. It can also be a time when you need to stay strong through the storm. Yeah, I do feel like that is basically saying, for one, the prosecution's gonna push for that. That she needs to stay strong, but that they're also not going to give up fighting to try to get justice because they believe that this is the truth, and maybe they won't do such a shitty job this time around. I don't know. I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced. Like the prosecution style was terrible. So It was very hard to follow. It was very disorganized. They asked more questions about who was drinking what, the types of tables and seating at the restaurants, the high tops, if it was snowing. There was never a debate about it snowing. What direction a lot of the first responders drove, like random stuff that what everybody was wearing. There was no questions. The only person that we needed to know what he was wearing was the victim. There was never any question about what people were wearing and what that had to do with the crime, because it had nothing to do with anything. So he asked a lot of irrelevant questions, and I feel like that lost a lot of the focus. Like, it's hard to follow. So, do you guys have anything you'd like to add before I get going? I won't be live again probably until Monday. I'm taking Saturday off and just having a good time. I hope. We'll see. You summed it up nicely. Thank you, Keisha. Okay, well, I'm going to get going then. If you guys don't have anything else you'd like to add, I'm going to try. And if you guys are watching this on the replay, comment #replay, let us know. If you have anything you'd like to add that I left out, because I definitely left a ton of stuff out. I gave a very brief summary. Feel free to comment. Any kind of hater comments will be deleted. But besides that, feel free. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Yes, you too, Keisha. So I am going to go. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, because tomorrow is Friday and it starts the weekend. So have a great weekend. You can always find me at melsdivination.com if you want a reading, and I'll see you guys all soon. Definitely comment if you have something to say about the trial and you missed the live stream. Bye for now.